They claim they want beef like I ain't in a teed up. I turn them to vegan. I'm really a creature. She sent me to beacon.
Hey guys, I share Race Legends. Welcome to the video. Sending some love, some positive vibes your way, especially if you're going through something, you need them out there today. Today's going to be a fun video, guys, because we're going to talk about a bunch of epic champions. Not just the obvious choices, although we will cover the obvious choices, the real cheat codes in every dungeon in the game, but also some deep dives, some more niche champions that are actually really, really incredible on a specific dungeon that you might have in your vault, you might be struggling in progression, or even just optimizing your teams. So we have a lot of champions to get to, 10 epics for each dungeon. This is by no means a definitive list. It's not the only champions that can excel in these dungeons, but these are my personal top choices and my favorites for the most part in every dungeon. Congrats, Ash, on the big one. Oh, the big boy. He watched the classic Key Hulk shard opening video from a few days ago. He just went live. Good old Dragon's Lair, the entry-level dungeon. I'm going to be talking about hard mode and normal mode. I'm going to try to tackle both in this video throughout all of our dungeons here. So Dragon's Lair, we still have to farm it, right? We have speed gear here. We have some decent beginner sets. Nothing crazy, though. But of course, we still need to make progress in Dragon's Lair. And we're looking for poisons, right? We're looking for cleansers. We're looking for some support, some heals, activators, stuff like that. So let's start out with one of my favorite cleansers out there in the epic category, especially in Dragon's Lair, and that's Sanguinia. Sanguinia is really unique. She's nice and tanky. She's very good. She's going to block debuffs, which will not prevent all the poisons, but she's got some heals. She's got a cleanse, transfers all debuffs from this champion to the target, and then cleanses all allies. So not only are you cleansing with Sanguinia, but you're throwing all those poisons that's on Sanguinia back at that dragon as well. Got decreased the duration of 2 random buffs on the target by 1 turn as well on the A1 on red punishment to get rid of that increased attack, right? This is an epic who doesn't really get much love anymore. But back when I started, everybody wanted this dude, and I'm looking for him. Why can't they have it in alphabetical order? Aothar. I'm looking at my man Aothar. Man, when I started playing this game in 2019, I even have my damn badge to prove it. I'm gonna show it as if you guys even care at all. 2019 badge. I heard that only like 2 players in the whole world have a 2018 badge because it was a beta. It was in beta, and it launched, like, I think in January of 2019. So, anyway, I digress. Where was I? Oh, yeah, Aothar. Man, this guy can dish out a ton of poisons, guys, right? And that's what Dragon ultimately is all about. Kill the dragon with poisons before it can kill you with poisons. 4 times at random, each hit places straight up a big version of poison. It's as simple as that. 4 poisons onto the dragon from Aothar. He's an underrated poisoner on single target because 4 poisons, well, that's the standard. That's the highest standard of poison in the game. So Aothar's got it. I want to give some love to Venomage, right? For all of the traditional dungeons, by the way, I'm picking no repeats. No repeats, but when I get into Iron Twins, Phantom Shogun Grove, and Sand Devil, I will have to repeat some champions because some of them are too good not to be included in all areas. Toxicity is a double hitter on the A1, and each hit has a 50% chance when it's booked of activating up to 2 poisons on the target. So a poison activator, but also a decreased defense and a decreased attack champion for survivability and for, well, kill it faster with raw damage with a decreased defense. I like me some Venomage. Enemies under heal reduction inflict 15% less damage too, which is really nice. It gives heal reduction debuff another usage when you don't need heal reduction, when the boss is not susceptible. Now we get damage mitigation off of it. So that's Venomage. Man, this is kind of an old schooler, but I still think she's really, really solid if you don't have other options. You don't have a cardio on your account or something like that. And it's Sky Touch Shaman. Listen, Sky Touch Shaman has a very annoying passive that you need to deal with. But 2 things about Sky Touch. Number 1 is she is one of the best healers out there for epic champions, right? I put her behind maybe, in terms of raw healage, I put her behind Rector Drath and maybe Woad Painted. And that's it. Like, she can dish out insane heals, right? It comes from this surplus heal that she has built into her kit, right? So a lot of healing, which we love in Dragon, taking all that poison damage. And she also has Revive on Death. So even if somebody goes down, usually with Dragon, it's kind of a race too, right? Sometimes you just need that extra turn. She can provide that, not just to herself with Revive on Death, but to anybody who dies. And usually that can buy you enough time to go in there, in addition to her heals, and keep the fight alive. Speaking of supports, one of my faves for epics out there is definitely Hatatsu. This guy's great, man. He just brings so much to the table. He brings a leech on his A1. He brings a decreased attack on his A2, an increased defense, and a continuous heal on his A3, 3-turn cooldown, as well as a 3-turn cooldown when booked on his A2. And then he's going to cleanse from the start of his turn and cleanse a debuff off of himself, including and prioritizing CC debuffs. But for sake of the dragon, he'll ditch ditch. Did I say another word? He'll ditch a poison every single turn as well, just to help keep your support alive, right? So he just brings so much to the table in terms of survivability. Really an overlooked support champion out there. All right, next is going to be Uragrim, who actually got a nerf, one of the few epics that ever received a nerf in Raid Shadow Legends, along with Madame Ceres, and I don't know, there's got to be somebody else I'm forgetting, but anyway, Uragrim was one of them. He's still good, though. That's the good news. He's got poisons on his A1, he's got a nice cleanse and a big heal on a single target on his A2, and then he's got 2 poisons on all enemies, and then a continuous heal on all allies. It's a nice blend of cleansing, healing, and poison damage. And he's got, by the way, a speed in all battles aura, so you can use him as your main lead as well. Next is going to be Taya. She's a Doom Tower farmable champion, so everybody eventually will get her. And let me tell you, she's not the best champion in the game, but she's very effective in Dragon. Specifically, she got a decreased accuracy on her A1. She got poisons. Each hit has a chance to place a big poison, 100% when booked, on her A2. But what was really special about her is the Blood Boil. You might not have an Eleanorilla, Narma, or whoever, a Balar the Lost, an instant activator on your account. Well, you've got one in Taya. You've got access, at least, to one in Taya. She has a 100% chance on a 3-turn cooldown to instantly activate 1 tick of all poisons and burns on the target, okay? With a heal reduction as well. So you can use her in multiple areas using this ability. You can even use her in Ice Golem using this Blood Boil ability. I do think that Taya is a bit underrated. She's not, you know, the elite version of an activator, but she has it, and she has it with burns too. So it's really nice. It is 1 tick, but she brings a lot to the table. I like Taya. Another old school Void epic is gonna be, and she got a buff actually a couple years back, Rowan. It was a quiet buff. She's not the best champion. She's very squishy in the game, but her buff made her a lot more viable in niche situations like this. She's got a stun on the A2. Listen, she's a single target champion with a triple hitter and a quad hitter. So you're thinking maybe Fire Knight, and then she has a 1 hit on her A1. However, you could use her in Fire Knight normal as well with that heal reduction on her A1. Her damage scales off of attack and speed, which is very interesting, but it's only on her A1 ability. But the reason she's here is because she, like Aothar, on a Void Affinity champion, has 4 poisons on 1 ability. So if you're struggling to find those poisons, there you go. It's Rowan, right? Next one is going to be Taragi the Frog. He's a nice tanky support option who also brings poisons on his passive, Toxic Blood. I mean, sign me up, dude. This guy looks incredible, too. What's up, big fella? Taragi, how you doing, buddy? He's a really strong carry, especially in early and mid-game accounts. He's kind of one of those champions you can just plug and play, and he's going to help you out almost everywhere. Shield, ally protect, 3-turn cooldown, got a little reflect damage, got an AoE provoke. He's got a decreased attack on his A1. All this stuff is going to help you in a lot of areas of the game, but that poison on his passive is helpful as well, in addition to the support. I choke up. I'm talking about Taragi. The poisons will eventually start to add up off that passive as well. I didn't mention some other poisoners. Quick honorable mention, we've got a Cult Brawler. He's an old school champion. And is he right in front of my face? Yes, he is. He's an old school champion, but he's got a lot of poisons too. I mean, personally, my favorite poisoner is Taurus, but he's kind of an AoE option, right? You can dish out 4 poisons on all enemies. That's insane. Maybe not the best, unless you can heal him up against the actual dragon, but on Poison Combust teams, he's going to be our guy. But our official last entry is, of course, going to be Dark Kale. I mean, he's another Doom Tower normal champion that you guys can absolutely just use to shred in so many areas. He really is a dungeon and Doom Tower boss, just phenom, right? He's got instant activation of poisons and or burns, including burns or 2 poisons on his A1. He's got an AoE decrease attack, also increase the duration of all debuffs on the target, and then he has 3 poisons and poison sensitivity on his reality acid. He can also, what's the crit rate of the dragon? That's right, it's 15%. So he can totally mitigate critical hits from the dragon, which can hurt with, as long as he's under 2 or more poisons, they're going to decrease that crit rate by 15%, which is basically 100% of the dragon's critical rate. So a lot of survivability help there on the Delirium passive. All right, let's move on to Spider's Den. Spider's Den, man, it's still, when the event dungeon isn't on, is still the place to get your accessories, you know? Now, granted, you know, in the end game at least, Spider's Den accessories, I haven't aged that well. Like, I don't know about any other endgame players out there, but I am selling almost everything nowadays that I get from Spider's Den. But the sick thing is, I still use Spider's Den to top off my silver when I need it. So I still farm here. And for mid-game players, even for early endgame players, and of course, beginners, Spider's Den is going to be a very important dungeon to farm, getting all your accessories and, of course, your silver. I want to talk about one of my favorite Spider champions. Honestly, I've talked about this guy. I haven't seen any other creators talk about him much. But honestly, this guy is so underrated. Khafru the Death Keeper. He is Void, so I know he's not super easy to get. I apologize, but man, we'll talk about him again before this video is over. He's a really cool champion. He's defense-based, so he's fairly tanky, over 1,300 on the base defense. His A1, transferring a random debuff from this champion to the target. He's got an AoE. Before attacking, though, he removes a random debuff from all allies. So he's a damage dealer who has a cleanse in there, mini cleanse as well. But he's going to heal each ally as well. 10% of his max HP is if a debuff, was removed from them. So it's a little cleanse and a little heal, a little Doom Priest-esque on this A2. But my man also has, he's really one of the three, I can only think of three good epic taunters, or epic taunters to begin with, right? I don't want to ruin Phantom Shogun Grove, so I won't list them all right now. But he's one of them. He's got a taunt, and he's got an unkillable as well. So he can be your taunter, you know, get those spiderlings on him. He can be your decrease all damage all allies receive by 10%. So he's a nice little tank for your team, right? I think this guy's great. And by the way, Khafru's command, it smacks if you set him up with an increased defense. So he can be a great nuker as well. I really love this dude. One of my favorite champions still to this day is Ugo. Who doesn't love freaking Ugo? The Ugo Solar Eclipse, the revive. Nah, Ugo honestly brings a leech, a decreased defense, a block buffs, a little cleanse, and a big heal. That's a lot for one champion, especially an epic champion to bring to the table. She's my favorite, and honestly, she could probably make the list on any of these dungeons, or at least a lot of these dungeons, because she's so versatile. So I don't know. If you have Ugo in your vault, what are you doing, right? Anything from Hydra Clan Boss to, you know, wave content to dungeon content to Doom Tower to Grim Forest, Sintranos, you name it, Ugo is going to help you out. Ugo is amazing. I decided to include her in Spider because of the blend that she has of debuffs as well as survivability for your team. All right, next is going to be, let's talk about the burners. I mean, Spider beyond level 20, you need some HP burn options. Probably the best, in my opinion, is still Mordecai, right? Now, you can make an argument. There's a few others that we'll talk about here. But Mordecai, man, first of all, he's got a decreased turn meter of all enemies and a filled turn meter of all allies on a 3-turn cooldown. It's a nice little turn meter manipulation that he brings to the table in addition to his burn and also an increased attack. I mean, my man has what you want, right? And he's placing the burn, meaning affinity doesn't matter as much. It's not predicated on critical hits. He's placing that burn. So for those reasons, I still choose Mordecai as my best burner, albeit his burn is on a 5-turn book down to a 4-turn cooldown. So that is the one kind of downside or knock on him compared to Skrank, who's the next champion on the list, the other AoE burner out of epics. Skrank, unlike Mordecai, he does have to land a hit, but he's void affinity. So you don't have to worry about weak hits either with him, and his burn 100% on an AoE is on a 3-turn cooldown. Now, he doesn't have that increased attack. He doesn't have that turn meter manipulation that Mordecai does that makes me like Mordecai a little bit more, but he has more damage. He is a more traditional nuker, and he has that 3-turn cooldown. So either way, I mean, whoever you're going to go with there, and we'll mention another one or two burners in a moment. We're not done yet, but they're both great options for HP burn, wherever you need it in the game. All right, the next one is one of my new favorites. I made a whole video on this dude. Golem Yellowhand. Holy mackerel. This guy is so good, and he's very new to the game. Well, somewhat new to the game, within the last 6 months from the time of this recording. My man has a leech and a heal reduction on his A1. He's got an increased speed and a continuous heal on a 3-turn cooldown on his A2. And then he has an AoE, decreased turn meter, 75% stun on his A3, man. They did not make epics like Gom Yellowhand back in my day when I was starting this game. He's really insane. All right, listen, Deke had to be somewhere. Kind of like Ugo, Deacon Armstrong could be on any of these teams. He's so strong. He's one of the strongest epics in the game. I put him here. He's going to leech on his A1. He's got an AoE decrease defense. But then he's got that turn meter fill, that turn meter decrease with, oh God, the best ability in the game. Grants an extra turn. The 4 most wonderful words in the English language, ladies and gentlemen. He also has speed in all battles on his aura. He's just a great debuffer, team accelerator, and then some, right? Next is going to be, well, we're going to throw Geomancer in here, man. Geomancer, you know how Geo works by now. You just land the damn burn, 3-turn duration on a 3-turn cooldown, and then his passive does all the work. So you land the burn on the spider mother, and then boom, you just wait for that damage to occur, and it will keep reflecting back, right? So Geomancer, man, I mean, what can I say? Similar to Deke, similar to Ugo, he could be on almost every dungeon list. He is, I would say, arguably the best damage dealer. The way that the burn from his A3 synergizes with his passive out of any epic out there in the entire game. There we go. All right, I said we weren't done with burns. Geo is a single target burner, but he feels like more than that, right? It feels like I'm doing him a disservice to call him the single target burner because he's, I don't know, the best in the game. But we also have another option who's another Doom Tower champion, and it's Akoff the Seared. Akoff? Tomato, what do we care, right? Akoff the Seared is not an amazing burner, except for in situations where there's a lot of enemies alive, right? Because he's an AoE, only a 20% chance to place a burn, but the chance of placing the debuff increases by 20% for each alive enemy, right? So as long as there's 4 alive enemies, so Nether Spider and Spider, he's going to be a great burner. It is on a 3-turn cooldown as well, so I kind of lied earlier. It's 100%, but it's conditional, right? But man, spider situations, you're looking at a fantastic burner. And Akoff the Seared, he's also the companion champion of Ryan the Conjurer as well, so you can use him with her if you want to take advantage of their synergies, although they're not super OP. But Akoff, man, he's a very underrated burner in those 2 specific situations, Nether Spider and Spider. Man, this is one of the coolest, I think, one of the coolest aesthetically looking champions in the game, and it is Achak the Wenderin. Is it just me, or is this design just like really cool? I mean, I don't even know what his face looks like. I try to kind of sneak in there sometimes. Is that his face? Is it just a little triangle? Hold still, Achak. All right, anyway, really cool design. For an epic champion especially, like this feels like it could be a form of a mythical, I don't know. Anyway, Achak has a block debuffs and a strength and some support. And then the AoE freeze. So you want to pair, well, it freeze on enemies who have higher attack than their defense, right? So the spiderlings, right? So what we want to do with Achak is pair him with a burner, and then heals all allies by 5% each time an enemy under a burn gets a turn. Great healing. And then fills a turn meter of all allies by 10% every time an enemy under freeze gets a turn. So you dish out the freeze, and then it's huge turn meter fill for everybody on your team. Next is going to be Magnar. I didn't have to go far, man. Magnar. Listen, Magnar is he's the best HP-based damage dealer out of any epics out there in terms of raw damage. Percussive Pound, I mean, in earlier stages of Spider, he can just nuke down all the spiderlings himself, right? I mean, he hits that hard. He also has a debuff spread, which makes him specifically noteworthy for the Spider. Debuff spread is conditional. So taking debuffs on enemies under HP burn and spreading them on all other enemies, or taking 2 from the target, and spreading them on enemies under HP burns. But he's also increasing the duration of all burns on all enemies. Why this is so useful is because of what we spoke about with champions like Mordecai, right? He can go in there and extend the burns and mitigate the fact that it's a 2-turn duration on the 4-turn cooldown. So you can pair him with your burner or just use him for raw damage. Either way, he's got you covered. I want to give a quick shout out to, this is not an AoE burner, and frankly, She's not the best because she's not an AoE burner. But AoE provoke, increased defense, so it can be a control champion, and then has a 3-time at random with a burn and a burn activation on the A1. So a nice burn activator. They're really hard to find outside of Dark Kale and Taya, who we talked about earlier. So Frenzy the Cackler, I at least want to give an honorable mention to. Let's move over to Ice Golem. So Ice Golem, I've always liked the Ice Golem dungeon. But with Ice Golem, first of all, the gear isn't that incredible, but there are a few sets that are still fairly unique to Ice Golem, right? We're talking about Reflex. You can make an argument Merciless is somewhat of an upgrade, although it does require a critical hit, and Reflex is a 40% versus a 30% cooldown. But Curse set, Provoke sets, Retaliation sets, all of these sets are very niche, but can be very useful in certain situations. Ice Golem has always been a tricky boss because there's 2 minions, and the Ice Golem can ignore 100% of defense if both those minions are still alive. Moreover, when you do raw damage to the Ice Golem boss, he's going to have those big auto counterattacks after his HP drops below a certain threshold. However, if you do damage to the Ice Golem with burns or with poisons, those won't trigger those big counterattacks, okay? Not saying you have to use those champions that don't do the skill damage, but it's something to know about at least. He can certainly hit harder, maybe with like the Sand Devil wipeout move aside, he can certainly hit harder than the other bosses at his full potential. So we're going to go with some support here on the Ice Golem, starting things with Vogoth. Vogoth was a tricky champion because I love him so much, it was hard to choose where I wanted to put him in the traditional bosses. He's got a triple hitter, so you can use him as a support champion, as a wave controller as well in areas like Fire Knight. He has an AoE provoke. He's got a decrease attack as well. He's got a triple hitter, increasing the duration of a random debuff on the target on his A1, but he's also one of the most competent healers, predicated he's being attacked in the game. And he's placing leeches too, with his Festering Dynamo. So, what do you want me to tell you? Vogoth just sits there. Whenever he's attacked, he's going to heal all the other allies. It's important in terms of positioning on your roster to put Vogoth towards the back half of your roster, like in that last positioning when you see the champion screen, because when you get damage from an AoE attack, it actually hits your champions in order that they're in. I have a whole video on rotation and why it matters so much, not just for this situation, but for a lot of passives in the game. So you don't want him first in your lineup because he's going to trigger his heal when he's hit and your other allies haven't been hit yet. So put him deep in your lineup and just allow him to heal your team, and you'll, thank me later. All right, listen, we had to talk about her eventually because she's the best reviver out there for epics. Certainly the strongest revive out there for epics. A revive with 75% HP and a 50% turn meter with an increased defense and a strengthen. She also brings a decreased attack and an increased attack, man. She brings a lot to the table, and you might need a reviver. If there's any dungeon you might need a reviver, it's probably going to be Ice Golem. So she's a great reviver, probably, again, in terms of just the prowess of her Requiem, she's the best. We also want tanky debuffers, right? Because squishy debuffers, they could die. He hits hard. So we have Duck the Pierced. Duck the Pierced is kind of like a mini Stag Knight, right? He's got a decreased attack and a decreased defense on his A2 ability. He also has an unkillable on himself, granted on a 4-turn cooldown, but it can be useful. He can provoke a couple targets as well, maybe the minions of the Ice Golem. So Duck the Pierce is a good debuffer for Ice Golem, or anywhere that you need a more tanky option for a decreased defense and a decreased attack. Another one of those champions that I just had to include somewhere on the list, and she can certainly deal some of the most damage to the Ice Golem and help you in wave content in any dungeon. It's Seer, the lovely Seer. Not only can she do insane damage with Karma Burn, not just to the Ice Golem, but to the minions as well, but she can also place the big version of Weaken on all enemies on a 3-turn cooldown, right? And has a hard-hitting A1. The only thing with Seer is you just got to be careful. She does so much damage that you can easily wipe on a counterattack. So as long as you're careful, and she can strip your buffs, but as long as you're careful, she can deal some absolutely lethal and insane damage to the Ice Golem and help you get there faster at the same time and be your decreased defense champion. All right, let's transition back into support because I love Gom, but I love using the Marooned. Oh man, Rocksteady, Bebop, whatever one's the Rhino. He was in the Ninja Turtles collab, you know what I'm saying? He wasn't, but he's so freaking good, man. This guy's a great support champion. transferring debuffs, healing, healing, and more healing. He's removing 2 buffs from all enemies as well. He's removing a debuff from all allies. He's healing all allies again here. He's going to block debuffs in his kit. And whenever he heals himself, he's going to share those heals. He's not a selfish rhino. Using the Maroon is a great support champion. Next is going to be Fenax, aka Nutbraids. Fenax has a few utilities in Ice Golem, as he does in most areas of the game. He's got an AoE block bust, which can be handy, especially in the wave content. He can be your main debuffer for the Ice Golem himself. He brings 2 essential debuffs for the Ice Golem and decreased speed and decreased defense. And then you can use them with the put down ability on the minions to put them down, to kill them, and they never get back up. Because when Fenax attacks, the enemies cannot be revived. So there you go. Fenax makes the list. Next is going to be a daily login champion. I think this guy's a little underrated. It's Grush the Mangler. Grush the Mangler is tanky, over 1,300 on the defense, which is a good litmus test for, hey, does my epic defense-based champion have a lot of base defense, or do they not? 1,300 for me is a pretty good barometer of that. He has an AoE decrease attack. Decrease attack is so underrated, especially in progression in this game. You can't always brute force your way through. Sometimes you need damage mitigation to help your team stay alive. He does that and then some. 2 AoE attacks, both deal a lot of damage. He's one of the more competent defense-based damage dealers for epics in the game. If you want to build him for damage, again, like Khafru, make sure you're setting up your team with an increased defense buff as well to get more damage out of him. But he brings heals, a continuous heal big version and a weak version on all allies if at least one enemy is hit with a critical hit. So you do want to build him with at least 100% crit rate to get those additional heals. So he's a great healer, damage mitigator, and damage dealer all rolled up into one, who's a little bit of tanky too. He is slow, but he's got a little tankiness to him as well. She's squishy, and like Seer, you have to be careful with her. But man, another daily login champion. Dark Elhain might be one of the most fun and aesthetically pleasing and enjoyable champions to watch during an Ice Golem run. Because every time the Ice Golem launches his freeze at your team, she's going to go in there and she is going to instantly activate the Death's Majesty. She brings her own increased attack on the actual skill, which is great. And then she places a decreased speed and a lot of damage. It doesn't put the skill on cooldown at all. She can't even be frozen. It instantly removes it from her, and it replaces them with a buff instead. But she's just going to be like a Gatling gun with this Death's Majesty. Boom, 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 whenever the Ice Golem lands a freeze. Just be careful of all that damage that might be coming back at you with Dark Elhain, but she's so fun to use and to watch. Last for Ice Golem is going to be my man Frank. I'm looking at the legendaries because I thought he was, because he's that good, damn it. Hey, if you're looking for support specifically in Ice Golem, look no further than the great miscreated monster. The 2019 Halloween champion of the game, man. He's very tanky, almost 23k base HP, but it's this lightning storm. It's an AoE stun for the minions of the Ice Golem, but also a shield. So if you build him with a little bit of damage, this shield is based on 25% of the total damage dealt. So whether it's spiderlings, Ice Golem minions, the more enemies alive, the bigger the shield's gonna be. So that shield can be enough to keep your team alive. And just in case it isn't, he brings ally protection, a big heal and continuous heals on himself to help keep him alive. So he's an ally protector, a shielder. I mean, I used to run Miscreated Monster just into the ground on Ice Golem back in the day. He was my personal little cheat code for Ice Golem. Fire Knight time, guys. Oh, man. Well, we got to kick it old school with Fire Knight normal because we have to talk about Allure. Can't talk about Fire Knight without talking about Allure. Allure, forget about her A2 or A3. It's not even worth chatting about, right? Triple hitter, decreased target's turn meter by 25% on each critical hit. So basically 75% turn meter reduction. You can just sit her, once that shield goes down on the Fire Knight in normal mode, you can just let Allure not use her A2, not use her A3, shut him off, and just let her control the entire Fire Knight. That's it. I mean, her against Fire Knight, or Dark Fae for that matter, in the same fashion, I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. We're talking about an epic who shines in Fire Knight hard mode, which for my money is by far the hardest hard mode dungeon boss out there, is Cryoden the Blue. I think he's the best for Fire Knight Hard out of any epic in the game. I want to make sure I was not forgetting somebody, but I think he's the best. Triple hitter with freeze on every hit, 35% chance. Against Fire Knight Hard, freeze acts as a turn meter reduction, okay? So we want freeze debuffs. On his A2, an AoE times 2 each hit has a 65% chance of placing a freeze on a 3-turn cooldown, so more freeze, and helps with the waves as well. And then his A3 is just beautiful. 3-turn cooldown, basically an apothecary move. Increased speed, big version, and turn meter fill for your whole team. I mean, come on, dude. He's also filling his turn meter for each freeze placed by this champion. He is like, he was made for Fire Knight Hard. He came out right after it. And golly, I mean, they didn't make champions like this back in my day. He's really insane. All right, next up is going to be, let's talk about some ally attackers, because you guys know Fire Knight. I mean, just in case you don't, Fire Knight still has, I think, the best set, well, best sets overall out of any traditional dungeon, but I think it has the most farmable set still, even in the end game, and that is Savage Gear. Sure, we have Lethal, but Lethal, I mean, there's RNG of the Forge, and then we have to wait for the Dark Fey rotations. So if we want Savage Gear, there is Merciless Gear too, obviously, but Savage Gear is still worth going for. There's still end game accounts that just farm Fire Knight 24/7. Moreover, though, it has Stun and Regeneration. Stun, Regeneration, and Savage, all incredibly good, albeit more niche for Regeneration and Stun, but Regeneration is still a great solo set, and Stun is Stun, right? You can only get it in Fire Knight's castle, so Fire Knight is definitely worth going for. You need to ship away those shields, though, so to ship away the shields, and to actually attack the Fire Knight, land debuffs, and everything else, we want ally attackers. And let me tell you, there's some great options amongst epics. You guys know how much I love Dirty Diana Gloompiercer. I think she's so good, man. Especially in Fire Knight, I really, really love this champion. She has Moonlight Ambuscade. It's an ally attack on a 3-turn cooldown. 2 allies join. They're going to ignore defense, do a lot more damage. She's going to join. She's going to place a decreased defense. She's got an AoE with big damage as well. I mean, she's fantastic. Another ally attacker who I love, Morag Bronzelock. She's tanky, she's defense-based, she's going to strengthen on an AoE. She only has a 2-time hitter on her A1, but she has an ally attack with 2 random allies. Now, her ally attack is on a 4-turn cooldown, so I don't think she's quite as effective as Dirty Diana, but she's a great option, and she can deal some nice damage as well, like Dirty Diana. The best ally attack option, in my opinion, is Fat Man. Fat Man, everybody's joining in. Not 2, but everybody. All allies. 4 allies. I shouldn't say joining in. They're all going to attack. Fat Man's going to sit out. He's too fat. But he does have Perns and 2 poisons on his A2. Can help out for some damage and bring a decreased defense on his A1. The forgotten ally attacker amongst epics, who's still pretty useful, is going to be Catacomb Counselor. The knock on Catacomb is, frankly, he's very squishy and very slow, which sucks. He only has a 1-time hitter on his A1, but he does have a triple hitter on his A2. His ally attack is 3 allies joining on a 4-turn cooldown. So if you don't have some of the other options, I mean, there's nothing wrong with running 2 ally attackers if you're having problems getting that shield down. Just make sure you shut off the ally attack abilities with your AI team setup before you go into the boss stage. That's why it's fresh off cooldown, or at least, you know, go through the motions and see where you need the abilities and when you need them on your teams. Those are our ally attackers. Let's talk about Neldor, right? Because when I said that Cryoden was definitively the best Fire Knight Hard, the guy I was pausing to think about for a second was Neldor Rhineblade. He has freeze on his triple hitter on his A1 ability. That's a 40% chance on each freeze. On his A2, he has a quad hitter but no freeze. On his A3, he has a double hitter on an AoE with a decreased speed, which is fantastic to land against the Fire Knight as well. Whenever an ally plays a freeze debuff, this champion has a 30% chance to attack the target with his default skill. So it's nasty to actually pair them together, Cryoden and Neldor. So really, really fun champion. Neldor and Cryoden both, 1A, 1B. I think they're fantastic, great options. And Neldor, he really shines in other areas of the game, just like Cryoden as well. Next up is going to be Ruella. Ruella is a Sylvan Watcher epic champion. She is Spirit Affinity, and she's got hits and hits and hits for days. She's got a triple hitter with an 80% chance of stealing turn meter. Love that. She's got another triple hitter with, 3 of the most important debuffs in the game. No big deal. The only knock is it is a 4-turn cooldown, can't be booked down, but still. Triple hitter, you want to save this for when the shield is down. Decrease defense, weaken, and decrease speed. She also has a turn meter increase in the entire team, along with increased crit rate. We have Gory, another Fire Knight hard option for you guys. Now, he's not as good as Neldor or as Cryodin, but he's not awful. He has on his A1 a double hitter, an extra hit if the target's under a freeze. Not going to work because he's not going to be under a freeze per se, but on his A2 ability, Frost Jutsu, attack 3 times at random, each hit with 100% chance of placing a freeze. So you get that 3 turn meter reductions off of his A2 ability, right? Not as good as a Newt, but you might not have a Newt, right? So he also has a counterattack on himself, which, but wait, no, it says conditional on killing an enemy. I take it all back. Gory's an option to at least be aware of. Fenshi is a good option for normal mode. He's got a triple hitter with a decreased speed on his A1. Fantastic, right? Once we get that shield down, we'd love to land decreased speed. That way, it's up for longer time, giving us more time to chip away at it on the next cycle, the next rotation, right? Another triple hitter on his A2 and a double hitter with some poison on his A3 ability. That is our Fire Knight champions. I wanted to give a quick little shout out, though, to one other, and that is to Hilda. There she is. Hilda, triple hitter on her A1, double hitter on her A2, and an AoE increase attack and a stun to help you get through waves. A nice triple hit option in the Dwarf faction. All right, guys, we're going to move on to Iron Twins. So Iron Twins is a tricky dungeon, but it's not impossible, right? We like block damage. We like champions that can do a lot of healing, champions that can land the burn, that can protect our team at the same time. We want decreased speed champions in Iron Twins. And I don't know, be honest with me, guys. How good are you at remembering to farm Iron Twins every day on your account? Me, I'm not gonna lie. I never miss Faction Wars. I don't think I missed Faction Wars in years, honestly. But I don't miss my clan bosses that much. I have a few times. But man, I'll get to the point. Iron Twins, if I'm gonna skip something, it's probably gonna be Iron Twins, but never on Sunday, where you get double rewards. All right, so for Iron Twins, we are gonna start out with a really kind of a more niche pick in Broodlord. Broodlord, though, is actually very good, especially in Iron Twins, but I think he's an underrated little lizard man here. He's defense-based with over 1,400 defense. Sign me up, right? He's got a provoke on his A1. He's got an ally protection on one ally with a block debuffs, also a shield on this champion. He's got a stun on an AoE, and then on his passive, Egg Watcher, this is what makes him so effective for Iron Twins. Whenever this champion is attacked, or whenever an ally under ally protection is attacked, has a 30, make it a 45% chance to place the big version of decreased speed on the attacker for 2 turns. So all he has to do is kind of go in there, be tanky, support the team, support your squishiest ally, and then eventually, easy enough, because it goes up even when he's attacked or when an ally under his ally protection, you'll land those decreased speeds. So a nice kind of niche option to kick off Iron Twins. Next is going to be, now we're going to get into some repeats, guys. I can't forget the double negative, but I can't not mention champions like Geomancer. Is still one of the best, if not the best, damage dealers for Iron Twins, because you just land your burn and then you just let Stoneguard do its work. That's all you need in terms of damage to the Iron Twin, right? Before you have access to champions like Newts and Marius and reset champions, I use Geomancer, right? And he's a great option. He's not quite as fast as some of those, double Newt Marius teams, but he gets the job done fast and efficiently. All right, next up is going to be Vogoth. I mean, again, we talked about him already, so I won't belabor the point, but Vogoth is an amazing healer, right? So just like I said earlier on Vogoth, just make sure you're placing him towards the end of your roster on the team select screen, and he's going to do a nice job keeping the rest of your team alive. Next is going to be Demitha. I mean, Demitha, she changed the game in a big way. Mainly when she was introduced to the game, she changed Clan Boss. All of a sudden, Demitha teams are starting to replace Man-Eater teams, right, in a lot of ways. Now, Iron Twins, they will ignore unkillable, like Man-Eater's unkillable. But they will not ignore block damage, meaning block of damage is very effective against the Iron Twins. Unkillable is not effective against the Iron Twins. Demitha has block damage, albeit for 1 turn, but on a 3-turn cooldown. Beautiful ability. You can run her with like a Renegades or Painkeepers or whatever you have for reset champions to get back and make sure that block damage is up as often as possible. She can also do a great job in healing your team at the same time. Next up is Staggy. Oh man, the White Knight. One of my favorite epics in the entire game, guys. Of course, I'm going to have Stag Knight on this list. He's got a decreased defense, a decreased attack. He's got a decreased speed, which is so important. And he has lead the pack. This is especially, valuable in Iron Twins because Iron Twins has high resistance. So we can help out a little bit in terms of resistance and helping land those increased accuracies on your allies when they do have a debuff resisted. But mainly for the debuffs, Stag Knight, surprise, surprise, he makes the cut. All right, next up is going to be, I can't believe we waited so long to talk about him. It's Royal Guard, man. Listen, enemy max HP champions have had their damage capped, 10% of the boss's max HP, but, I mean, it's still an insane way to deal damage. But Stag Knight is still a great way, to deal damage. However, the reason that Royal Guard, did I say Stag Knight again? The reason Royal Guard's on the list is because my man also brings a decreased speed with his hamstring ability. Now, I like to have another decreased speed champion on my team, not just Royal Guard, because it is a 4-turn cooldown, 2-turn duration, but as a decreased speed from a very capable damage dealer all in one. Next is going to be a little cheat code for Iron Twins. He's a lizard man, and it's Aox the Rememberer. The Rememberer. Listen, Aox is very, very special because he's got heals. He's got great support for your team. He's got a weak hits don't matter because he's not hitting, a decreased accuracy, as well as a decreased crit rate to mitigate, critical attacks. But then the Steward of Time, increase the duration of 2 random debuffs on the attacker by 1 turn when he is attacked. That's a beautiful thing to have, right? How many times so far in this video have we talked about, we love their debuffs, but we want it to last 1 more turn. And the worst thing for Geomancer is the Iron Twin strips away the burn, and then he lands all these big attacks, launches all these big attacks, but the burn is already off, right? He outstripped the duration of it by taking extra turns. The decreased speed fell off or whatever it may be. Aox has all kinds of cool synergies when you start using this champion more. I think I might actually make a whole guide on Aox the Rememberer because one of those champions where his kit doesn't read quite as good as he is. All right, next is going to be Godseeker Aniri. Man, Godseeker's just a crazy good all-around healer and reviver, right? Listen, Iron Twins, you're probably going to encounter some deaths, especially if you're in progression and not speed farming mode. She's got a revive, but she's resetting all of the cooldowns of all of their skills. That's incredibly good, especially in boss encounters where, the stakes are high. This dude can wipe you out in 2 seconds, and you get to reset everything at the same time. Reset that Demitha block damage. Reset that HP burn from Geomancer, right? And she also has the Rise to Glory, where she can preemptively revive somebody as well. Kind of 2 revives in 1 in her kit. Next, I want to talk about, personally, my second favorite reviver in the game. Do I really want to say that? I don't know. Whatever. One of my favorite revivers in the game are Retrotroth. Retrotroth is built different. I mentioned her way back when we were talking about the best healers in the game. Retrotroth is, to me, the best healer out there. But she also has perfect veils. She got decreased attack. She got that great revive. And then she has more heals, synergizing with her veils. I mean, listen, you're not going to die when Retrotroth is on your team. You're going to be A-okay. She's insane. Just one of my favorite plug-and-play revivers. I had to include her somewhere. All right, next, and she's great, I should say, in Iron Twins, as she is basically everywhere. Last but not least is going to be Skathix. Skathix has a great cleanse, a block debuffs, a shield as well, stealing debuffs. I like this guy in a variety of different content. He has his own block damage whenever his HP drops below 30%, so he's tough to kill. And you add all that to a decreased speed on his A1, right? So really good option there. I figure I'd give one more honorable because I can't get through this video without talking about my man Mausoleum Mage, who also has a decreased speed, increased defense, block debuffs, cleanse, heal, turn meter fill. He's got it all. Mausoleum Mage is a great support champion that you can use almost everywhere on your account. Sand Devil time. So I just made a video with an all Newt team. It was really fun, but I really struggled. I went every dungeon boss against Newt, and I really struggled. I worked through it in the video. If you missed it, you can check it out after this one. But I really struggled in Sand Devil, right? Until I found Jamarsa, or until I thought of using Jamarsa with 4 Newts, okay? She has a sleep on the A1 and an AoE revive. That's all you really need to know. I kept her alive through that big... put her in Stone Skin. I kept her alive through that big nuke at first, and then she revived everybody and was able to sleep with the A1 on the Sand Devil. So she's a reviver with sleep. I mean, I think she's one of the only ones out there other than Sify the Lost Bride. You've got her. She's a friend referral champion too. Sand Devil, of course, I have to mention Godseeker and Neri again. Godseeker and Ninja, like that was Sand Devil for the first year of Sand Devil in the game for me. I'm sure a lot of you guys, if you were playing then, were probably in the same boat. But she's beautiful because of the 2 revives, right? Like, you can go in there and she can revive herself with the Guardian Angel and then revive an ally and reset their cooldowns. For the same reason we spoke about her in Iron Twins, of course she has to be on this list as well. And surprise, excuse me, Demytha's on the list as well. We already talked about her, so I won't be long here. The video's already going long. But Demytha, and I'll have timestamps for you guys out there. But Demytha, she's just incredible, right? A lot of heals. She just brings so much utility to the table as well for your team. You know who I really like for Sand Devil, guys, for an epic? I like Ayala Life Braid, okay? Ayala, no one really talks about her that much. She has a cool instant turn on her rhythmic flow passive. So 12% chance to get an instant turn on this champion or an ally as long as they use an active skill. It's RNG. It's hard to depend on, but it's pretty damn cool. She also has an increased accuracy and, oh, by the way, 100% sleep. Really nice to have, right? And in addition to that, she restores destroyed max HP. And she has a nice big heal to keep her team alive, right? A lot of the things that we look for in the Sand Devil, she has it. And I think she's a very overlooked champion kind of overall in the game. Let's talk about some damage dealers, though. One of the best damage dealers for Sand Devil is going to be Whisper. Whisper is the boss killer. If you have Whisper on your account, you're sitting on not a hidden gem. You're just sitting on a gold mine, a boss single target damage. A lot of extra turns, that one of the hardest hitting, combos in the game. And you know how some champions in this game, guys, they just smack against bosses. Like, there's no other way to say it. You look at their multipliers, it doesn't necessarily translate. Well, Whisper, she's one of those champions, right? You put her in front of a boss, she's going to decimate. She's one of the best, if not the best damage dealers in terms of raw damage against Sand Devil out there in the game. Next, we're going to go with, let's go with an old school champion. I haven't talked about this champion in a million quadrillion years, literally. I counted. And it's Crimson Helm. Crimson Helm is an old OG. She was in the game when it was released, right? She's going to decrease attack. She's going to provoke, block damage on herself, which can be handy, but she has a revive on death. So a theme here for some of these remaining champions is revive on death, right? Revive on death is going to be a hack. Sandlash Survivor is another option, right? A hack to get you through that big blast and bring everybody back, right? It's kind of like the Godseeker Guardian Angel passive, but it's going to trigger obviously on everybody. It's revive on death, right? So you can use a Crimson Helm to withstand that first blow, and then you can just sleep cycle your way through the Sand Devil after that. So she has it. Also on the list is another old school champion, and that is Lightsworn. Lightsworn is, again, I mean, he's very, very tanky. He was in the game, from the very beginning. He's got a triple hitter, decreased target's turn meter on his A1, a decreased attack, a decreased speed on a 3-turn cooldown. Hell, he could have been on the damn Iron Twins list too. And he also has an increased defense and a revive on death for 2 turns on a 4-turn cooldown. Man, for an OG, he's aged pretty well, Lightsworn. And he looks pretty good for an OG champion too, aesthetically. Don't you guys? I like that cape that he's got. Definitely fits the Sacred Order aesthetic. But yes, another tanky revive on death option for your team. Talk about niche here, guys. Let's talk about Maeve. It's been a long time since we looked at this champion here. But she's an epic attack, and I promised you guys at the beginning of the video, we'll talk about niche champions as well. She has a 70% sleep on her A1 ability. You know, listen, odds are you probably have Chronicler Adolin or Muck Stalker or a sleep option on your account. The cool thing about Maeve, though, is she has that sleep on the A1. I really wish it was 100, though, because you don't want any RNG on your runs. But she does have a 70, which isn't that bad, right? She has a stun. Who cares? On her A3, though, she has this big and stay down ability on a 3-turn cooldown. If you can land the sleep or have another sleep champion that you can kind of combo with her on your team, she can really smack with and stay down. It's one of kind of the overlooked nukes out there. It doesn't really do that much except for block revive, which I guess is good, especially on a 3-turn cooldown. But she can be a good damage dealer and sleep combo for you. However, she's a bit squishy and a bit unreliable to run the Stupefy strategy on the higher levels of Sand Devil. But you can use her to progress, certainly. I just wanted to give you guys my favorite damage dealer, and I had to include him somewhere on the list, man. If you're sleeping on my man Darendil, wake up! He is an elite damage dealer, and Sand Devil is no exception, right? This list here that I'm putting out today doesn't have a ton of damage. I mean, it has a lot of Geomancers and stuff like that, but I'm trying to cover a lot of the fundamentals, right? It has some enemy max HP champions too, but we're kind of overlooking some of my favorite just raw damage dealers like Whisper and Darendil, right? Darendil's insane. If you're just looking for somebody on your team to simply DPS down the Sand Devil, put in Darendil, right? My faves, by the way, are going to be Darendil and actually this dude right here, Sir Artemage. He can absolutely smack this Unshakable Valor, right? Those are two of the hardest hitting nukes out there for epics, and both of them work great against Sand Devil and Phantom Shogun Grove. My favorite reviver in the game, the last that I'll give for Sand Devil, the last champion I'll give, is going to be, of course, Tagore. I mean, Tagore is the complete package, and we can use Tagore anywhere. So Rector Droth and Tagore are my favorite revivers in Raid, right? I love Isilda Drakes. She's still great. But Rector Droth and Tagore are two of my faves. He has increased speed. He has a heal based on his HP, which we can scale and make it a really nice heal. He's got an increased defense in the ally at the lowest HP. He's got an AoE revive with a shield that you can use even when you don't need to revive. And he's got damage mitigation on Aid the Feeble. I mean, he has everything he's like the Ugo, but like without the debuffs. But what I'm trying to say is he's got revive and then a lot of the things that we want that normal revivers don't have. Like big heals and an increased speed, for example. Increased defense and damage mitigation. He brings so much to the table that he's good for areas like Sand Devil. You keep him alive initially, you can revive everybody, speed everybody up, heal everybody back out as well. I use Tagore pretty much everywhere. Phantom Shogun Grove, the final stretch. Thanks for making it all the way through the video. If you didn't just fast forward here, and if you did, welcome to the end of the video. It's Phantom Shogun Grove. We talked about Rilgard, but not the other enemy max HP champion, and that is Husk, right? So Phantom Shogun Grove, obviously, you guys know, is where we're going to get our accessory ascension, and Sand Devil's where we're going to get our artifact ascension material. It's the two dungeons that I farm by far the most in the endgame, and if you're an endgame player and you're generally displeased with your quality of artifacts and accessories, odds are you probably should be farming Phantom Shogun Grove and Sand Devil more for the dust, so you can keep re-rolling and get the best stats that you possibly can on your most valuable and powerful presets on your entire account, so then you can mule those around, right? More so artifacts, but either way. Husk is just great in this area, right? He's got a nice strong enemy max HP from a tankier champion at 21k HP as well. We said we were going to mention him again in this video. Man, Khafru. Phantom Shogun Grove, if you're struggling there, just put a taunt champion on your team, and it's probably going to alleviate all your concerns. And there's 3 really good taunt champions. We alluded to this earlier in the video, right? So Khafru, the Death Keeper, is a criminally underrated champion, a good damage dealer. He's got, again, remove the random debuff from all allies. That's fantastic to have. And then he's got Unkillable and Taunt for 2 turns, right? The other one is, of course, Duden. It's funny how all of the taunters I think are underrated, right? By the way, I probably should have included Mist Rider Dathi somewhere in the video. I apologize. Like I said, not definitive. My Celiac Priest Ornn certainly can be used in Dragon too, so maybe I can make a part 2 of this video talking about all the champions I snubbed. But Duden the Runic, man, this guy has a little cleanse on his A1 with a counterattack, so every time he counterattacks, He's going to go in and cleanse. He's got a shield on his A2. But he has a taunt too. So a taunt will lead to more attacks, ergo more counterattacks, thus more cleanses. It's a beautiful synergy in Duden the Runic. And the other guy is Ambassador Lethalin. He's a high elf. Really cool look to him as well. Really like it. He almost looks like a Unity champion, but it's a gotcha moment. He's not. But yeah, Ambassador Lethalin is very cool too. He has an AoE on his A1. You can certainly use him in other content in a stun set, but he also has a taunt for 2 turns, and you can choose who you put it on, right? So very interesting with Rallying Banner. It's a very unique taunt ability where we can put it on anybody that we want to. So that's Ambassador Lethalin. And those are our taunters. That's it. So we've already talked about her. Just like we said, for Sand Devil, guys, Whisper is still one of the elite, one of the most deadly, and one of the hardest hitting champions for Phantom Shogun Grove as well. Phantom Shogun Grove as well, Awakening does play an important part, obviously, on who you want to use on your account. So certainly don't just plug and play any champion. Go with a champion, especially if I list them, that has good raw damage, but also high awakenings. The other one that I really love for this dungeon is actually Inquisitor Shamil. Inquisitor has a move that could ostensibly ignore 100% of the target's defense. So Whisper and Inquisitor Shamil for Phantom Shogun Grove are two who I think are the 2 most elite damage dealers out of epic champions out there. With all the Husk is in there in the conversation as well. Actually, there's another one in the conversation as well, right? And this is a more niche pick. No ability that I've talked about in this entire video can hit as hard as Tender Mercies against the Phantom Shogun Grove. He's not going to have any buffs. We do have block buffs and buff and stealing buffs on the A3, but we can go in with Tender Mercies. This has a 9.2 multiplier on it, starting with a 1409 base attack. This is like, it's not going to one-shot the Phantom Shogun unless you're on easier levels, but you're going to be astounded by this damage. So if you have a space for a raw damage dealer like this, look no further than Franox, however you want to say her name. She's deadly with this particular ability. This is the highest multiplier of any epic champion in the entire game, by the way, if there's no buffs on the target. I already gave Husk some love. I'm just going to say officially Royal Guard, right? Again, the AoE enemy max HP ability is fantastic. I'm also looking at, some support champions for Phantom Shogun Grove. We talked about Ugo quite a lot this video, but Ugo's fantastic. Good cleanse, great heal. Just you can't go wrong with Ugo. But another one that I think I mentioned in passing earlier this video, and the last champion that we'll talk about this video, is Woad Painted. Woad Painted used to be the joke of Raid Shadow Legends, right? Not a very good champion, but she got a really unique buff back when they buffed epics. They don't do that anymore. There's no need in 2025 and 2026 to buff epics anymore, they said. Still bitter about that, can you tell? You know why I'm bitter about it? Because they did a hell of a job buffing a lot of epics, and now they said they're never going to do it again. But I thought they were doing great with it. It's a bummer. But Undying Fury removes all debuffs from this champion, a 1 debuff from all allies, nice to have. Heals this champion by 100% of their max HP, so their full HP when healthy, and then all other allies 50% of surplus heal. What does that end up doing? You just stack up as much HP as humanly possible on Woad Painted, and she becomes, along with Rector, like I said earlier this video, for my money, the best raw healer out there in the game, which is especially good against Phantom Shogun Grove. There it is, guys. Hope you found this video helpful. Let me know if you want to see a part 2, maybe against all the other bosses, Doom Tower, Amos, in the Grim Forest bosses. It could be fun in the future. Either way, thanks for watching. If you want to spend another couple hours for me, check out the top 5 legendaries in every faction video that I put out a week or 2 ago. Thanks for watching, and as always, take care, guys.